Okay, so I decided to turn a huge failure, a recent failure of mine, it was huge, it was disastrous, into a little story time because I honestly learned so much from it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna come share what I learned about this disastrous failure. And for those of you who want to hear some learning lessons, I'm failing. I wouldn't say I'm failing forward yet because I haven't really gone forward yet from this failure, but there's some learning nuggets in here. So I joined the HOA board as the president, and I failed at that duty disastrously. And when I say disastrous, humorously disastrous failure here. So I'm gonna go all the way from the beginning, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to do multiple uploads on this because I will not have just 10 minutes to tell this story. I'm going from the beginning. All right. So I bought a home in a new development, and in a new development where the house was just built. So we all are buying our houses together at the same time. Within 1-2 years, the houses are building. So the longest anyone has lived in my community has been probably maybe a little over 2 years, maybe 3 years. Okay, so the developer, they did what big businesses do. They get in, they build the houses, they put some framework down as far as HOA governance guidelines. They meet the standard of what they have to do to legally be able to build houses and spacing and all that stuff. But since this is like an entry level, this is my first home, they didn't put a whole lot of consideration into how it was going to function moving forward for the homeowners. They got in, they built the houses, they got out. Now finally we have a owner run board that can come in and start to try to make some changes so it's actually livable, because there's like a lot of things here going on. There's just things that need to be corrected from how the developer did all this, and I'm not going to get into the weeds with that. So finally the last house is being built, and the HOA can be turned over from the developer to the owners running the HOA. And one of my my friends, I called my neighborhood bestie, texted me and said, I want to be on the HOA board. Join the board with me. It'll be fun. We'll have fun. And I said, okay, sure, because I'll put my application in. You think it'll be fun to be on the board together? Let's do this. Be on the board together. Have fun. I had no intention on joining an HOA board. When I saw the notice go out that said we're looking for board members, and put in your application, I said, okay, cool. Finally, owners will be running the board. This will be good for us. But I had no intention on joining because I'm in school. I'm working on my master's, and I'm a single parent, and I have a very high stress job that I work in. So I had no business doing it in the first place, but because my neighborhood bestie said they wanted to do it and they thought it would be fun, I went ahead and said, all right, fine. I'll just put my my notice in and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? My bestie wanted me to do this, and we'll do it together. Perhaps I won't even get selected, and we will, and hopefully they will get selected because I knew they really wanted to do it, and I'll just move on with my life. But at least I was loyal, and when someone asked me to do something with them, I just did it because that's my friend and that's what I do. So I put my my notice in. Mind you, I did not think I was gonna get selected. Let me tell you why. When I first moved here, I did the dumbest thing. I got in these Facebook groups for this community, just to kind of try to understand what was going on here and just start to kind of get to know who my neighbors were, learn about the area and the community, stuff like that. That's a normal thing to do, right? Well, I was walking my dog. I walk my dog. I have a dog. So this is just a little aside, but I think I need to tell the story so you understand why I didn't think I was going to get elected. So my dog gets checkups, gets everything, and I take really good care of my dog. My dog, I never had any type of worms or anything like that. But there has been a problem around here with people not picking up their dog poop. So my dog, I took my dog for just like a regular checkup, and my dog had I think it was some kind of common worms. I want to say it's like heartworms. So we got it all corrected. I got the medicine for it, or whatever the case may be. Yes, I know about that medicine that you can give your dog every 30 days that keeps it from getting anything like that. But I moved from one city to the next. So when I first got here, there was like, with me orienting myself, getting everything organized and stuff like that, I was like a little bit, maybe like missed 1 month of giving my dog that medicine because I was still trying to find a new vet. And it was so many things and trying to remember everything all at once. So anyway, so that happened. And I put a message in the chat in the group saying my dog caught heartworms. I believe it was because I have a Shih Tzu, and my Shih Tzu likes to like play around in other dogs' poop. I can't always catch it. Trust me, my dog been high multiple times. I'm pretty sure I posted about it, but one day I'll show you guys my high dog. But so I put that little warning out there, and man, these people out here started a petition to ban me from walking my dog. Even though in my post I was like, just wanted to put this out there. I don't know if this is what happened, but it could be because my dog never had anything before, and now my dog got this. So I think it could be like some dog might have it. So be careful with your dogs, or just make sure you're getting your dog checked or taking that medicine. These people put a petition out here to ban my dog from walking. And I didn't respond to that very well because I sort of had my little rant in the group. So I just knew I made a lot of enemies like that. And then when people would write little silly things in the chat, I would always counter it with like, it's clearly in our governing documents. And I would always just go back to the governing documents. It's in here. You can't park on the street. Stuff like that. So that's why I just knew people didn't like me because of that. But somehow what ended up happening is that there were 5 positions for the board, and only 6 people put in their notice of intent to run for the board. And one of those people kept putting in the chat, I want to be the president. Vote for me. Vote for me. For me for the president. And so I was like, I just knew for sure, all right, 6 people. It looks like I might end up on this board, but I'm just going to be like a member at large, a voting member, maybe something light like secretary. That's easy. I could take notes. And so I was still not really that concerned about it because clearly everybody's going to vote for the person who says they want to be the president. Because why wouldn't you vote for the person who says they want to do the work? It's my understanding that not a lot of people really want to be on the board. Because a lot of people are saying, yeah, I want to help, I want to do stuff, but I ain't doing that. I ain't getting on that board. Those boards are like a beast of their own. So I just knew the person who wanted to be the president would get elected. No. That person did not get elected. When we got to the meeting, I knew very quickly that I was in trouble. I got in that room. It was over 100 people in the room. I scanned the room and I saw, oh shoot, I have had conversations with almost every single person in this room. I'm an introvert, but I'm a very social introvert. So when I recognize that people in here, they know me, they're saying, hi Jasmine, because I'm so active in the chats, I was like, crap. This isn't good. So I'm going to start the next video to continue the story time. I'm running out of time on this one. Okay, so this is part 2. So to continue on, I figured I was in trouble, that I was probably going to end up on this board, and I was not prepared for that. So that's what happened. I did get elected to be on part of the board. And how it worked was you get elected first. They elect the 5 most popular votes, and then everybody, all the owners, leaves, and the board meets afterwards, and the board decides who's going to be each position, like president, vice president, and stuff like that. So I got on the board, I got elected, and then, but the person who said they want to be the president didn't. I'm baffled by this still. This is what ruined everything. So the person who said that they want to be the president did not get voted onto the board. The person who said they wanted to do that work and put all these posts in the chat. And so I don't know, maybe people thought you're doing too much. You're going to get on the board and just try to be a dictator of everything because you want to be the president too bad. That's I remember feeling like, sheesh, this is a thirsty attempt at control. For 1 second, I thought that, but then I was like, well, let the person who wants to do the work do the work. That's what I ended up resolving myself to. But yeah, they didn't get elected. So we're all sitting around there. Nobody wants to be the president. Everybody's idea was to just get on the board so they could be a voting member. So I'm looking around, nobody's stepping up. Everybody's like, I just wanted to be a member at large, or just have a vote. And so the person who asked me to be on the board, I was like, okay, well then you be the president. I looked at him and I said, why don't you be the president? Because you wanted to do this. And mind you, I have to say, this person has a background in managing like a huge community. And so they know about this stuff and they're good at it. Like they actually get lots of accolades and rewards at their job for how well they do. So quite naturally, I'm like, okay, you would be the guy. You're our guy. And he looks at me like he's got tears in his eyes, like he's about to have a meltdown about potentially facing having to be the president and have this responsibility. Oh, I have to say this part too, that it was explained to us that the president is just somebody who's also signing off on like the financials and stuff. They don't have any more decision-making power. They're just like any other board member, but they're the extra signature, and they create the agenda for meetings and put what's on the agenda for meetings. But quite naturally, the whole board is going to come together and decide what they want to have on the agenda. And then the president is just the one who's going to send it into the management company to have it actually be our meeting. So what's the big deal, right? So, but I look at him, he looks like he's going to have a meltdown. He's crying, looks like the tears are welding up in his eyes. And so I'm like looking at my friend and I'm like, man, okay. He's like, I do this for work all day, and then I'm gonna have to do this as a volunteer too. I just don't want to do this. And so I said, all right, fine. I'll be the president. So I walk out of there. Mind you, my 8-year-old is sitting there at the table too. And he's just looking like, I just remember his face like, y'all don't know what you just did by putting my mom as the president. It's like he knew that it was about to be a whole poop show because he knows me, So I walk out of there like, I did not see that coming. Now I gotta do stuff. I'm on this board, and now I have the responsibility of the president of the board. So it was sort of exciting and also sort of frightening as well. So I get in there, I get my certification, I start moving, trying to get to understand this management company. I'm getting no information from anyone. Nobody's explaining really what we're supposed to be doing. I feel so blind in the whole situation. I'm starting to feel stressed because it's so unorganized. we have like a CAM, like a LCAM. I don't even know what CAM stands for. I still don't know what CAM stands for, but there's like a licensed CAM that sends you emails, and she just kept sending emails. Oh, somebody complained about this. What should I do? Email blast this. Then she was like, send weird stuff. Like somebody said something about parking. I'm going to send out this Word document where everybody has to ask for special parking for events at their house and say why they're having people over. And I was like, oh no, that's not okay. It's none of our business. Just hold on that. So I'm trying to like catch up with all the moving pieces. Meanwhile, my neighborhood bestie who got me into this mess in the first place is crying to me. It's so unorganized. I can't manage too many emails. Why are there so many emails coming from the management company, and then everybody's chiming in, and it's like one email turns into 20 emails, and I'm overwhelmed. And other board members was like, I'm just a volunteer, I'm overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm good at organization, so I'll try to get this organized for us so it's easier and manageable. So here I go. Here's where my triple type A personality comes in and just terrorized. When I tell you I terrorized this board, terrorized them. I stayed up hours on hours on hours creating Excel spreadsheets, Google forms that go into spreadsheets. Nobody really asked me to do this. I'm trying to organize parking. I'm reading governing documents. I'm like trying to like make point of contacts. I'm trying to do what's making sense. I'm calling people who are experienced in stuff like this, asking them for their feedback, things like that. Mind you, my neighborhood bestie says to me, I feel like we're not going fast enough. If I were the president, I would be having more meetings and doing this and that and that. So I'm like, okay, I need to do more. So here I go, making a workshop meeting, doing a PowerPoint, overperforming, over communicating, over organizing, talking to the management company, asking why they haven't fulfilled on this promise, or they said they were going to do this and they haven't done that. We haven't seen this movement. Just doing the most, right? I'm overwhelming these people with email after email after email. I think I sort of went into like this stressed out, anxious, overperforming manic episode, because now that I reflect back and think about it, it's so crazy. I would literally send an email and then be like, okay, I know this is a lot of emails. This is the last one. And then 2 more emails. It was bad. I would have overwhelmed myself. It was bad. So I terrorized these people. I terrorized the management team. I terrorized the board. And when they complained about being volunteers, I would say, I'm a volunteer too, but I'm committed to my community and I signed up to do this. So I'm going to do the best I can. So I basically terrorized them. So finally, my neighborhood bestie texts me. I have to give you this part. Meanwhile, I'm communicating in the groups, letting them know what's happening behind the scenes, letting them know the challenges, letting them know everything. And they loved it. When I tell you the community loved feeling involved, they loved feeling like they had input, they really liked it. And I literally made a PSA. Oh, I'm leaving out a really important part. And I'm gonna have to do part 3 on this. So put a pin in it. I have to give you a part 3 of what happened my first month 2 of me, the president of the HOA. All heck broke loose. I can't believe I forgot about this. Okay, so month 2 of me being the president of the HOA in my community, we had the hugest vandalism incident in the neighborhood. These people came and vandalized our pool. They did donuts and people in like all of our common area, grass and people's homes. deep tire marks that just like took out all the grass, huge track marks through all the pools all the pool furniture in the pond, in the pool, tore off the railings off of the railings around the pool, broke the key fob area, pulled off the whole water fountain off the wall. Both water fountains, the regular one and handicap one, both pulled off of the wall completely. It was like the craziest nightmare type of incident to happen. And my neighborhood bestie got the call and was like, so-and-so called me about this, and I just can't deal with this right now because I am so overwhelmed with work, and so please, can you handle it? And so I was like, fine, I got it. I'll call our CAM and see if they can call law enforcement, make a law enforcement report. So I'm thinking that's just going to be it. I'm just going to call a CAM. They're going to do what they do because, we pay the management company to handle some of this stuff. So I call the CAM to make the law enforcement report. I'm not even going to all the details, but what ended up happening was me spending the whole entire day dealing with this mess. And I was dealing with the law enforcement, dealing with the owners, cleaning up the pool. It was exhausting. Mind you, I'm still juggling being a single parent, being in school and work, falling behind on everything, losing sleep. On the back end, I'm still on this manic, frantic, terrorize the board. They're not doing anything. I'm doing all the work. Crazy thing that I'm on where I'm just nuts. And so all of that's happening all at once. So finally, I sent an email. I drafted an email to my neighborhood bestie, who, meantime, while all this is going on, is shifting between, you're doing a great job, the community loves it, we had like a workshop. Our first meeting was just a workshop to see what the community wanted to see get done, what was like a priority. You did a great job facilitating the workshop. Everybody loves you. You have a calm, friendly demeanor. It works really well. And then he would switch to, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to use Google Sheets. I don't want to look in the files to find communication, to figure out point of contacts that I asked you to create. And you're sending too many emails and I'm overwhelmed. So I'm like, okay, let me try to measure myself. And then I was really feeling a little disoriented because my neighborhood bestie, who's good at this kind of stuff, wouldn't give me like any hints because it was all falling on me. Like it looked, even though my role had no more importance than anybody else, just the title alone makes everything fall on you. Because if things are going well, it's because the president's doing a good job. If things are going bad, it's because the president sucks. That's just how it goes, right? And so it seemed like he didn't have he had no problem watching me like drowned or struggle. So he wasn't like offering suggestions. He actually told me that he would get my emails when I was trying to organize stuff and explain like how I'm organizing things. After he told me they would like for me for organization and go ahead, we would like this organization, he actually tells me that they're just ignoring all of my emails. So I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Multiple times I just wanted to quit altogether because it just didn't make sense that I was putting so much effort and time into it. And the board is telling me I'm frustrating them. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm trying to help, but I'm actually frustrating you, so I'll just move out the way. So I wanted to quit. But the board member that I spoke to, a couple of them, they're like, please don't quit. You're doing a good job. Nobody else is going to do all this stuff you're doing. Nobody else is going to stay on top of the management company. Even my neighborhood bestie was saying that too. Like, nobody else is going to do this. Nobody's going to take the lead. Nobody's going to take the initiative. and I'm so glad you're doing it. But then he would go, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know. We shouldn't be doing so much work. If you're doing so much work, that means we got to do a lot of work. So it was just extremely disorienting and confusing. So finally, oh, this is what I left out. I did a whole entire PSA. I was like, okay, let's have a little bit of fun. This whole vandalism incident, it hit the community hard. A lot of people feel traumatized. I felt traumatized from that. A lot of people are stressed out, feel like what's going on. So we did a whole PSA because I brought in my little creativity skills. And I was like, let's do a little PSA for the neighborhood. A whole script. I got a whole script together and I was like, everybody's roles is what everybody's gonna do. It was so cute. So I used like my son and I would show it, but it's just too many faces to blur out for this. But I used my son and the child he plays with across the street to be actors and show them like walking up to the pool, seeing the closed sign because of vandalism, and then walking away looking all sad with sad music playing in the background. And then I displayed all the pictures of the vandalism and stuff. And then I had like a voiceover explaining how we understand it's frustrating in the heat in the heart of the summer that the pool is closed, people can't use the pool, and that we're with you and we're working on it, and these are our concerns too. And then the vice president spoke, my neighborhood bestie had his little role, and then the other people and then the treasurer, she's like an older lady, and she's always at the pool, and she loves to she's there every day. And so her little script, she said, I'm the neighborhood mermaid, and she's like in her swimsuit, and she's at the pool, and it was so cute. And she's like, I'm the neighborhood mermaid, unofficial neighborhood mermaid, and this pool closure is messing with my vibe. It was so cute. And then the other board members were like, they had their lines, we are neighbors, we are community, we are family. It was a whole PSA with music, dramatic, all of it, right? So the community loved it. So then finally I was like, okay, I was getting the message that was a bit too much. That was like overwhelming the board, overwhelming the management company, and that it was just a lot. So I was like, and I'm going to try to measure myself a little bit. Before I send out another email, I'm going to send it to my neighborhood bestie who's good at this kind of stuff. And I'm going to ask him to look it over and tell me if this is good. Should I send? Should I not send? So I'm not just going to rely on what I think. I'm going to actually ask somebody first. So I did that. So I sent him an email and I said, I'm thinking about sending this to the board just to be direct on all these things, not the board, the management company, just to be direct on all these things that are still undone that we've been requesting for the last 2 months. And now we've had this huge vandalism incident, even though we've been asking about putting cameras at the pool for 2 months, and now this. So I really think we should send him an email and ask for a time frame. So I sent it to him. He looked it over and he said, this is really good. I support this. If this is the type of leadership I like directness. And so you should send it. And you can CC me on this one too. So I was like, okay, cool. So I sent the email. All right, I'm gonna start a new one for the next part, because the next part is where it gets crazy. All right, guys, don't worry. I'm getting to the end of this story time. So I sent off that email, and finally the management company started doing stuff. They weren't really happy with the tone of the email and their response. You could really see that, but they actually got to work and were doing the things that they said they were going to be doing for the last 2 months. So meanwhile, I'm communicating with the community in the Facebook group. And the reason why I was communicating with the community in the Facebook group so much is because the management company was not sending off the email blast that I was asking them to send off. They were just ignoring me. So I'm communicating with the community and letting them know. They also see things getting done. They're happy. They feel involved. They feel like they understand what's happening. So I'm like, all right, this is a lot of work. I see that I'm going to have to really be on top of this management company, and 2, really understand what's going on behind the scenes so that when the management company isn't being as responsive as I would like, I can get the answers I need for the community. So I'm already starting to understand that might be something that I need to do. So I'm sitting up in my house. It's like 7 o'clock at night. I'm starting to like decompress, think about reshifting my focus back to school, back to work, back to family. I'm all out of alignment. So back to God. That's a primary one. But I'm all out of alignment. I get a text from my neighborhood bestie. Neighborhood bestie texts me and says, "Hey, can I come by?" And I'm like, "Sure." Usually, if someone just sends me like a "Can I come talk to you" message, I'll ask what they want because I need to make sure I'm in the right mind frame. But this neighborhood bestie, I'm like, it's been to my house many times. I didn't think he was coming by to ambush me with anything crazy. I actually assumed that he was coming to kind of like decompress and be like, wow, that was a lot. We finally started to get some movement, or just like talk about his level of stress with it all or whatever. So it's 7 o'clock at night. I'm sitting on my couch. My son's sitting on the floor in the living room. And I text him and I say, "Yeah, sure, just come right in." So he comes in. He takes off his shoes, no shoes rule, goes to the couch, sits down, and he says, "Your house always looks so much bigger than mine. I know we have the same size house, but yours just looks bigger." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's because I don't have a lot of furniture. It gives that look." And then he goes, "What are you trying to say? That my house is cluttered?" And I'm like, "No, it's just, I don't remember even what your house looks like on the inside. Trust me, this is all going to come together soon." Mind you, like 2 days prior, he sent me a text message asking me for a picture of my couch. So I sent him a picture of my couch, not even thinking about it. Then he says, I'm getting the same exact couch as you. I like your couch. That's why I got a picture. I want my house to look like yours." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." So then he goes into, "I think you're doing too much and you're overwhelming me and you're overwhelming the whole board. And we think that and you're like the crazy president that the management company gave an example of in the beginning, where some presidents just go crazy and let it go to their head, and that it's and they just start doing too much and doing their own thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "Yeah, I'm coming to do an intervention." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I felt like a little ambushed and blindsided. So I'm like, "I'm the problem, huh?" And so I was like, "Wait a second, let me make sure I want to have this conversation in front of my son," because he was sitting on the floor in the living room. So I was like, "Fine, we're both being respectful. Clearly this is like a conflict conversation, conflict resolution. Like, he's confronting my behavior, and I also have my own observations about his behavior. Do I want that to happen in front of my son?" But then I did like a quick assessment of it, and I was like, you know what? I don't think this is going to get out of hand. So sure, he's 8. He can see how 2 adults resolve conflict as adults. So I was like, it can pass. I was like, so, but he was checked out. He wasn't paying attention anyway. So he starts like criticizing me and stuff. And I was like, I know, I when I come into something, I go 100%, and it's so disorganized, and I feel so stressed, and I feel like I'm overperforming, and I feel what you're saying. So it's not like he's saying anything untrue, but he was like, "Stop coming up with ideas, stop being innovative, stop being creative." And I was like, okay. I was like, I just feel a little confused, because part of it is I'm getting mixed messages by you. One moment you think I'm doing good, you think you're happy I'm stepping into leadership, and you didn't have to worry about it, and the next minute you're overwhelmed. So then he's like, "I don't even know how to use Google Sheets." And I was like, yeah, I was more of an Excel girly too, but it's just Google Sheets anybody can access. So I learned how to use it for this. And then he's like, "Everything you send, I've just been filing it." And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, "I wanted to do this because I wanted to do something after work. I wanted to work." And I'm like, okay, well, this is work. And I was like, well, I've been feeling like a lack of support from you. So I've been a little bit disappointed on how you've been showing up in this. So, but I'm not at your house coming to you and just like telling you how to show up. And so, there's a difference between feedback and somebody trying to control how you show up. And I felt like it was coming more of a like, I'm trying to control how you show up, because I can take the feedback. So I'm like, yes, I go at everything 100%, but I don't want you guys to feel like you're not doing anything because I'm just so overwhelming. So then he was like, but it was when he was like, just stop being you, just quietly quit. He was like, I think you should quietly quit. Just be on the board, but don't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, it's not really me. Like, if I'm going to be on the board, I'm actually going to be myself, and I'm going to try to be productive and problem solving and be a part of the board. So that's why I was like, I don't know if this is something that I want to continue doing, because the dynamic between me and you, the dynamic with the board, the dynamic with the management company, it's just so much, and I'm already overwhelmed with all my other stuff. And I joined the board because you asked me to. You said it would be fun, and we're not having fun. And so he was like, and I think this is going to ruin our friendship, and it's going to be because of you that it ruins our friendship. And I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to step down from the board, because I didn't want to do this anyway. I'm overwhelming you guys. I see that I'm the problem. I can see where I'm the problem. I'm not one of those people who cannot see my part. I could clearly see my part. I could clearly see that I did not slow down, take an assessment of everybody's pace, and just try to work with people. I kind of just, so I was like, I'm the problem. This situation is causing so much stress and confusion for me that I'm going into performing mode, anxiety, and I don't even like what I see for myself. I don't even like how I can see myself. Like, if I look at myself from a distance, I don't even like what I see. So I was like, I'll just step down so you can continue having this. This is what you wanted to do. And I'll go back to my other things. I just opened a travel business. I need to learn my travel business. I'll plan our vacations so that we can have fun doing vacations, talking about vacations, not board stuff. I'm not that attached to all of this. So then he was like, oh, please don't quit the board. I don't know what I'm going to do if you're not there. You've been doing all the work, all this. It was just conflicting, and I was so confused. And I was like, I'm probably going to quit. I'm going to step down. You can have this. And I don't want to be in the way. I don't want to be overwhelming people who have to do what they have to do. I don't even understand how all this works. I didn't want to be here in the first place, but I was like, I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to send you a message and let you know. He was like, please let me know what you're going to do before you just do it. I would like to know. I want to know first. I was like, yeah, I'll send you a message and let you know. Let me tell you what happened next. So he's continuing to sit there, send me conflicting messages, contradict himself and stuff like that. And already in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm probably definitely stepping down. But I did want to pray about it and have some time to sit with it alone and think to myself, like, what was I going to do? So I'm like, okay, so it's time for me to get ready for my bedtime activities. So he gets up and he's like, I need to go and text my hubby and whatever. So I go, all right. So we're going towards the door, and he stops, and he was at my house talking about this, going back and forth for like over an hour. So we're going towards the door. I'm walking him out, and he stops and he says, you've been in this house for 2 years and you still don't have anything on top of your cabinets, your kitchen cabinets for decoration. And I was like, well, I was so confused. Like, what is happening? I already felt ambushed. This already happened in front of my son. I'm already stressed out, trying to like decompress. You come in complimenting my house and tell me how you're copying me, and you're leaving insulting my house. After this kind of weird, strange, back and forth, intense conversation that I was trying to figure out what was really happening in this conversation. And I look at my son, and he looks at me like, Mom, if you please get this man up out of my house. I'm just like, all right, bye. What? Listen, I don't know. So he leaves. I go take a shower. I pray. And very clearly it came to me. You followed him to this HOA board. You weren't going to do it. You did it without thinking, without going to God first and saying, God, is this where you want me to put my energy, put my talent, put my whatever. And you followed him to this board, and it's been a disaster and confusing. Everything about it's been confusing. You're acting way out of character. You don't even like who you've become. You weren't supposed to be here in the first place. So it was really clear. It was very clear to me that my next step was just to resign. So I text him and say, I decided I'm going to resign. And he sent me the sad face. So I resign. I sent an email to the board and to the management company. And I actually apologized to everyone for my behavior, because looking back, the way I approached my communication style, a lot of it was wrong. Like, it was not considering that other people had things to do too, that it was a volunteer board. Everybody is just trying to everybody doesn't have the same energy level as I do, the same pace that I work. The management company, they have other communities that they're managing. It just was so intense. I was so intense, and I had to apologize for that. So I apologized for my behavior. I apologized to the board. I apologized to the management company. I put in the email. I hope that now that I'm stepping down, the board can have a good relationship with the management company and move on, and all of that. So the next day, I get on Facebook. I see it's my neighborhood bestie's birthday, and I'm like, oh crap, today's his birthday. So I go to the Facebook group. He already puts in a post that says, we're looking for 2 new board members, because another person also stepped down the same night that I did. 2 of us stepped down at the same time. So he said, and I just wanted to stress that this is a volunteer board, and we're volunteers, and we're going to approach this as volunteers. So I went ahead and I did my post, and I just said, I have other obligations. It was really short. Something like, I have faith in the direction of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to serve. People were disappointed in the community that I stepped down. It was a sad day. Someone wrote me and said, this is a sad Tuesday, and the community name I don't want to say. But it did feel kind of somber. I could tell that the community, they liked what they liked. They weren't getting what the board was getting from me, but they were getting a lot of communication. So they liked that. Owners liked that. They really appreciated me. And they liked the little PSA. So I literally did a PSA video and then quit like a day later. No, it literally was actually a day later. PSA, then I quit. So people were disappointed. I was getting messages about that. My neighbors across the street, who are like my adopted parents, they were really disappointed. They thought I was doing a good job. But it really was not what God wanted me to be all up in at the time. And I was actually making it I was making it terrible, and I was making it awful. It was a terrible experience for those people that I had to work with. So I wasn't supposed to be there. Not what I was supposed to be doing. And so then I go to back on Facebook to tell my neighborhood bestie happy birthday, and he unfriended me. I was unfriended. Yeah, so that was sad. And I'm like, what did I do? So the next video, I'm going to go ahead and break down all my lessons learned in this whole experience. And for those of you who followed the whole thing, thank you for watching, and I go ahead and comment what lessons learned you think I should have picked up on. Go ahead and give me your opinions on it all. But I'll go ahead and do another video with my lessons learned from this experience. All right, so now I'm back to talk to you guys about the lessons learned from this whole experience. So starting with the very first thing, why I said yes. Why did I join the HOA board? That is my first lesson. I was people pleasing. I said yes because my friend said, do this with me. This is what I want to do, and I want you doing it with me, and it will be fun. I said yes to make my, at the time, neighborhood bestie happy. I didn't even consider myself. I didn't even consider everything I had on my plate, school, how it would affect my my relationship with God, how going back to church. I'm trying to get back into church and get planted at my church here. I didn't reflect on how it would affect my child who depends on me and my job and work. I just said, all right, you want me there, I'm there, without even a second thought. Did I sit and think, is this something I really need to be putting myself in the middle of? Did I sit and think, is this something that I can really afford to do and put this on myself right now? I did not consider myself or my priorities at all. All I considered was making my friend happy and being his HOA neighborhood bestie sidekick. And I think that reflecting back on this, when you do those type of things, when you put yourself last, other people see it too, and they expect you to continue to put yourself last. My neighborhood bestie at the time, he's no longer my neighborhood bestie, but I'm just gonna keep saying neighborhood bestie for the sake of the video so you know who I'm talking about. When it seemed like I was gaining favor in the community and was the face of this HOA board, and they liked the way I was going about it, that's not what he envisioned for my participation. And so he did little subtle things to either throw me off course, confuse me, or send me down the wrong spiral to sabotage my success or my efforts, or just whatever you want to call it. And so when I wasn't able to be controlled by him, that caused conflict in the friendship. So putting someone else above your needs and people pleasing people, that gives them information that it's like they think that you work for them, like they should control you. So it's not a good message to send to people, and I didn't have firm boundaries. So that was lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is my nervous system gave me very clear indication that I was out of alignment, and I did not listen to my nervous system. My nervous system was in overdrive survival. My nervous system had me overperforming, then overcorrecting, over apologizing, intense, prioritizing the wrong thing. Like, where in life do you prioritize HOA board over like family, God, church, family, work, school? Like, I prioritize HOA board over everything else because in that setting, my nervous system was telling me that we're not safe here. This is not where we want to be. We're not even supposed to be here. And you're not listening, that we're out of alignment. Like, we're all the way off the path we're supposed to be on. So that's another thing, is that when you start behaving frantically and overperforming and approaching things at a level of intensity that you're even confusing yourself about why you're approaching things so intense, that might be a sign to stop, slow down, pause, look at what you're doing, and see if that's where you even are supposed to be putting your energy. The next thing that I realized is that I realized I was nervous that when I stepped down, everyone was going to be so disappointed and express their dissatisfaction because they really liked me being in that role. But what I found was I got support. A lot of the community said, that's your decision. You have to do what's best for you and your family. And as neighbors and community, we have to respect your decision and support it. I got so much love, and I also said that I was going to continue tracking concerns on my tracker that now I can share with everyone. And they loved that idea. So stepping away doesn't mean stepping out. Sometimes you just have to figure out how you can engage in a way that works for you. I'm not abandoning my community. I'm still a homeowner. I'm still invested in the progress and the success of my community. And by stepping away and realizing I was out of alignment, I was able to take some time and figure out how I can contribute to my community that in a way that fits and is in alignment. And I really did find a happy medium, and everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. Ain't nobody gonna be thinking about this HOA stuff in 2 weeks. So, and it's funny because people can really surprise you. People really do surprise you. You know who surprised me? My neighborhood bestie surprised me. I felt a sense of betrayal and grief the way that all went down. And I recognize that when I don't step into my boundaries and where I'm supposed to be, then I am setting up I'm setting the scene for failure in a friendship. I'm not holding all the cards as far as saying it's all my fault that failed, but I am saying that by having boundaries and by being in alignment, that potentially may not have went down the way it did. I'm not mad at it though. What I saw out of that person, I see now that was inevitably who they are. But just the way people surprise you. I was so surprised by the support I got in some of the community members that I did not ever think I would get any support from. And I did not think that they were going to respond the way they did. And I was surprised by my former neighborhood bestie's behavior. I was just surprised. Like, humans, you just never know with humans. Like, we're interesting. The next thing I realized is that you don't need to have a title to have influence. The reason why the neighbors, the community really liked me in that role was because I was already influential with staying firm and like what the guidelines are, having a voice and a presence. And that's what they said. They were like, as long as you're not disappearing, we need your voice, we need your presence. Having a title is just a small piece. Now it just seems like the board's going to do what the board does. They're going to move at the pace the board pace. They're going to be a typical board. It's not going to be anything fancy. The management company probably going to get all their money for doing minimal. All that stuff is going to happen. But that's not something that I need to be all up in the middle of, concerning myself with a headache. I can still have influence in my community and still support us moving forward in a positive direction without being in the middle of that. So that was another lesson that I learned. Next lesson I learned was to pace yourself when you're going into a new position and you're working for a team, is I didn't take the time to understand that everyone has their own pace, understand everyone's pace, how they work, how they communicate. I just went in, I saw the issues, and I just went into correction mode. I work in an industry, I work in the child safety industry, so I work in an industry where I get a case and very quickly I need to make decisions on what's going to happen in that case. And information is key. So I want information, and I want it fast, and I want to make decisions, and I want to do it. And once I see what needs to be corrected, I'm moving towards that. And not realizing that this is something different. Time frames might be different. There's different expectations. Just to kind of learn the culture first, and then decide how I'm going to come into that culture and that system, rather than just expect, oh, okay, I send an email, it's only reasonable that I get a response within a day. No, this is a whole different type of beast. It's a whole different type of thing. You got to figure out like how people move in this system. So that was another thing that I learned about that. Maybe more of like a leadership nugget, even though I really don't like being a leader. I don't want to be a leader. I just want to follow the leader. But that's a whole nother story. And my final lesson is that not everyone who shows up showing themselves as your friend is your friend. For some reason, I keep learning this one. Some people enter into silent competition with you and you don't even know it. Like, you don't even realize it. You're so busy like thinking about how they're awesome. Like how I thought like, oh, this guy, he's young, he's under the age of 30, he's got his first house already, he's got traveling, he's at the top of his industry, he's doing amazing, he's commands a room, he's well spoken, he's got a great presence, he's got a really good way of thinking about things, and I'm just sitting here hyping him up, and that's all I ever intended to do, was hype him up, support him, get on the board because he wanted me to support him on the board, stay on the board, help him out, become the president because he looked like he about to choke up and cry if he has to be the president. And meanwhile, he in a silent competition with me, wanting to kind of glean from my aesthetic, but then tear it down what my house looks like at the same time, making little sly digs all the time, withholding support and ideas because it would, as me as in the president role, it would look favorable upon me rather than him. And he just withheld like support and information because he really wasn't my friend. He was in a silent competition. I think he really actually probably wanted to set me up to fail so that he could take over, which he's doing right now, and look like everything is so smooth. But you know what? That's above me. You know, God is in control. God's going to handle everything. I want what's best for my community because obviously I'm a homeowner and I'm invested in the success of my community and the success of this board. So I'm not even worried about that. But a huge lesson learned for me is that people can be envious of you and you don't even know why. I'm a 45-year-old woman. Like, my life is almost over. I'm over here just trying to take the last little bit of joy I could take. No, I'm not. I'm being dramatic. But yeah, I'm over here. I done lived through my 20s. I done lived through my 30s. I ain't on all that petty stuff. I'm over here just full of joy, life, energy. And you think because somebody maybe financially be doing better than you or seem like they got it all together, maybe have more opportunities than you, then they would have no reason to be in some weird cattiness or weird jealousy. But really, they're jealous of your joy. They're jealous of your light. They're jealous of your energy. They're jealous of your spirit. And they want to see you fail. They want to take your light. Sometimes your light exposes someone else's darkness, and that's threatening to them. So sometimes you just really have to look at those little things and start to get, I'll collect the information first, and the little signs were there. But when you let things go on too long, you're just setting yourself up for bigger heartbreak and more grief. And that was another lesson learned, because I was really starting to see those little subtle signs early on. And I kind of have like this positive outlook, and I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but it's important to guard your heart, because there's certain things that people do, and I will say without fail, every time I've learned this lesson, without fail, there's these little things, the little comments people make, the little comparisons, the little copying after you, want your exact same thing, the little things they do, they put themselves in a quiet competition with you. That's a huge red flag. And never have I saw a relationship out with one of them red flags and it end up being good. It always crash and burn. So that's my final lesson, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.